Today we're going to talk blocks. My name is Ben Spildunner. I'm an English teacher and educational technologist at Ashland High School in Ashland, Ohio. I'm also a Minecraft global mentor. In order to help you better understand Minecraft and how you can use it in your classroom, we need to talk blocks. What are they? What do they do? How do you place them? How do you use them? Fundamental skill when it comes to understanding Minecraft. Before we start, there's one thing you need to know. You'll never know as much as your students know, and that's perfectly okay. I'm not here to show you how to become perfect at Minecraft. My goal is to help you use Minecraft as one more tool to make your classroom that much more effective. So, let's talk blocks.
Episode 6 of Minewhat is going to be a 4-part series. The reason it's 4 parts is because we're going to take a look at each one of the tabs in creative mode, so that way you know exactly what's available to you to be able to start creating and have your students start creating. So, without further ado, blocks. First thing we're going to do is open up our inventory tab here in creative, and you can see there are a ton of building blocks. In this part 1 of episode 6, we're going to focus on just this first tab, building blocks. Now, this is not going to be a complete description of every single one of these because that would take forever. However, what I will do is I'll go over pieces and parts of the building block, so that way you can see how it's organized, you can see what materials are available, and maybe some of the cool things you can do with some of these materials. So this first set of blocks we're going to take a look at are stones, and you'll see the first 6 blocks here are all different kinds of stones, and you get these stones by mining stone and then smelting them. You can create these different patterns here depending on whether or not you're using stone blocks or stone slabs, everything from cobblestone to moss stone. And I'm going to place cobblestone here just so you can see what it looks like. Cobblestone's kind of neat looking, kind of a neat little pattern there. Alright. The nice thing about using stone to build is that it does keep creepers at bay. If a creeper explodes in front of a stone fortress, it will be less likely to explode as much here than if you were to use wood or some other product. So this is cobblestone. You got several stone options here, and actually there are actually a lot more stone options than just the first 6 here, and we'll go over those here in just a minute. The next options you have are planks, and these are actually made from the raw materials that are gathered when you actually destroy a tree. So if you chop down a tree, you'll actually get these items right here. Oak wood, spruce wood, depending on what kind of a tree you cut down. And this is actually what you'll get, what you'll collect. And then through the crafting process, you can refine those down to planks. And there are all kinds of planks here, different colors here. They all have the same texture. So now, one thing you need to be aware of when it comes to wood is that you can set it on fire easily, which you may or may not want. The other thing you need to be aware of is that it can spread and it will destroy the wood. Stone will not do that. Well, there's one kind of stone that will actually do that, but for the most part, no other stones will do that. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and take this fire away here. So those are your wood items. And if you're curious, if you're thinking to yourself, how in the world do I craft these? If you look down in the description, there's actually a website that I have listed down there. It's probably one of the best websites I've seen to help you learn how to craft and smelt the different items you'll see here under the building blocks tab. The next one we're going to take a look at are bricks. And bricks are kind of neat. These are actually made using a form of clay, and they have a neat little brick pattern to them. Once again, brick is very much like stone in that it's great to help against blast radius, those kinds of things. It won't get set on fire. So that's brick. Then we get to regular stone, and you use this stone actually to make these other objects here, and you'll see that it has a slightly different texture to it. There you go. That's stone. Granite, polished granite, diorite, polished diorite, andesite, polished andesite. The way that you go from stone like granite to polished granite, or to the polished diorite or polished andesite, you actually take 4 of these granite pieces in the crafting table. You turn them from granite into polished granite. So polished granite is actually 4 of these crafted together to make one polished granite. And it's kind of neat to see the difference between the textures of these two. So let me show you what these look like. So this is granite, and above it I'm going to put polished granite. All right, next we have dirts. Well, dirts plus stuff. So the first column is just simply dirt, and this is actually what you'll get when you dig into the dirt. Regular old dirt. Then the next few are very interesting. We have podzol, grass block, and mycelium. You can't actually craft these or create these. The only way you can actually mine these is to have silk touch, which is an enchantment that you would put on a shovel in order to be able to get this. So you'll see these, especially the podzol and the mycelium around mushrooms, great for growing mushrooms. Grass you'll see pretty much everywhere. Grass does spread to other dirt blocks as well, which is kind of a neat feature here. So then we get to the clays, and clay is an interesting item because clay can go from this to any one of these terracottas. So in order to form the terracottas, you create them from clay. And once again, I would refer to the website in the description below to learn how to be able to do these kinds of things. We'd be here all day if I showed you how to make every single one of these. So refer to that website. It will definitely help you out quite a bit. But you get all of these terracotta great colors from clay. So you've got regular clay, then you've got some of these interesting different kind of colors. This is really neat and creative, especially if you want to have students do some neat types of buildings or structures or those kinds of things. So those are clays and terracottas. Then from the terracottas you can get glazed terracotta. That will be in another part of episode 6, where we'll go over another one of the tabs with the glazed terracotta and some of those cool features. Next we've got sandstone, and sandstone, chiseled sandstone, and smooth sandstone all come from sand. So if we take a look at sand, I'll show you some of these other neat features here. So we've got first sand. One thing you need to be aware of with sand is that it does drop. So if you have sand stacked up and you destroy one, you can drop it, which is great for using as traps. There's another one of these items that does the exact same thing, which is gravel. And so let me throw some gravel on here so you can see what that looks like. So if we're going to destroy a gravel block, gravel also drops as well. So sand and gravel are the two that do that. Other blocks, you destroy them, they stay there. Alright? Alright. So if we look at the things you can make from sand, you can make sandstone, you can make chiseled sandstone. I'm going to show you here the difference between the two. So that's sand. This is sandstone, kind of a neat texture there. And once again, refer to the description for the website to show you how to be able to do those kinds of things. We've got red sandstone, which is created from red sand. And you can get red sand from a different biome than what you would get the regular sand from. Of course, you've got gravel, which I already showed you. Gravel is pretty much used for traps. I don't really know when else you would use it. I mean, you could use it to build buildings. However, if a creeper were to blow up the side of it, or if you were to break a block on the bottom, then the rest of that would fall and make for some funky creations. You know, great for learning about physics, and great for teaching students about gravity, those kinds of things. The next are raw materials. These are different kinds of woods, and I'll show you what they look like. These are what you would pick up when you're done destroying a tree or parts of a tree. It would look like that. Those are just the raw materials. And depending on how you set them down, they'll actually be in different directions, which is kind of a neat little feature here. So the rest of these are these raw material woods. Look the same, similar textures. Some of the outsides of them are a little bit different. So of course here we have birch, so you can kind of see that looks a little different there. Alright, so those are kind of neat. Then after these raw material woods, we have some interesting materials, and these interesting materials come from the nether. And the nether is going to be an entirely different episode of Minewhat, but there's one thing I want to show you about some of these nether materials. One of these is netherrack, And once again, once we get to the nether, I'll explain what each one of these does, how you can get them, how you can craft them. But for now, you just need to know that there's some cool red bricks. And one of the coolest features, if you're going to create a fireplace for any kind of a reason, would be to use this netherrack. Why? Because netherrack can burn and it never stops. And it does not spread, which is kind of nice. So, that's one of the advantages of using this product. Oh, now we have bacon. Great. Fantastic. Well, I guess it will spread if a pig runs into it, alright? So, looks like Piggy survived here. So, and he's coming back for more. Alright, so that would be the nether blocks. And past the nether and past the soul sand, we've got bedrock. Bedrock is an important material to understand. It's great to use for the building process. However, it's really only used in creative for building things because you can't really do that in survival. Now I'm going to dig down because I want to show you something here. Bedrock is actually used for the base layer of the world. All right. So if I fall down here and I look up, I went through the bottom of the world here. Alright, so you'll see the whole bottom of this is bedrock. Why? Because when it comes to survival, you can't actually break through it. Alright, so that's kind of a neat little feature there. So that is bedrock. It is indestructible. At least in survival, it's indestructible. Alright, that's what it looks like there. Okay, so I'm going to put this fire out here. Next we have a whole bunch of stairs made from materials that we've already mentioned. And these stairs are kind of neat looking, and there's some different things that you can do with them. I'm just going to pick a set of wood stairs out just so you can see what they look like. These are also great for making chairs, too, if you want to make a chair or a bench. Kind of neat looking. Alright, but the idea is to stack them, and it makes it easier to climb up. So that's it. Alright, so instead of having to jump from block to block, you can simply climb up. So those are stairs. Once again, wood stairs can be lit on fire, so be careful. And you can see stairs made out of all kinds of things. And we'll get to these materials here in just a minute. These are slabs. Once again, slabs made from the raw materials, which we've already gone over. And these slabs can be made for different purposes. There is one thing I want to show you about slabs here, so I'm just going to pick a stone slab. And the interesting thing about slabs is they look as if they take up less than a full block, for example. Right? It looks like it takes up half a block. However, if I try to place a block above it, that's what I've got. I got this weird floating area. So you need to understand that a slab does in fact take up the area of half a block. However, there's this nice invisible area which it also takes up. Unless you put a second slab on top. That's the only time that will actually work. Alright, otherwise full blocks have to go above it. Alright, so beyond the slabs, we have bone block. Bone block is made from bone, which can be collected from skeletons that you destroy. Quartz is an interesting product. And there are several versions of quartz here that you can pick up. And once again, refer to that website to see how you would actually create these. I think it's important to see what they look like. It's great for creating very clean kinds of spaces in creative, right? I mean, it's very bright, very clean. So, and there are some variations of the quartz. The pillar quartz is kind of a neat thing. It's got the lines going through it. Great for creating Greek columns, those kinds of things. And once again, depending on how you lay them, they'll lay in different ways there. Okay. Beyond the quartz, we have prismarine, and this is interesting because prismarine can be obtained by destroying guardians. Guardians are they're mobs that spawn in underwater fortresses. And so it's hard to get prismarine, but they make some cool blocks. I'm going to show you what they look like. So once again, in creative, they're really pretty, a different, unique kind of color. So, you know, they of course are very reminiscent of you know, water kind of a look, kind of a sea look to it. Then we've got purpur, and this is kind of a wild looking block, purple block, and you get this from popped chorus flowers, and once again that'll be on a different part here of episode 6, how you get chorus flowers, how you plant them, and all that kind of stuff. So this comes from popped chorus plant. And then of course we have the ores, and the ores are what you'll see out in survival. For example, we have coal, and when you mine coal ore, so once you use your pickaxe to destroy it, you'll see a black piece of coal that will lay there for you to pick up, and then you use that coal then in ovens to cook food, to smelt things. And so all of these are the different ores that you would actually see out in survival. Alright, and once again, nether quartz is something that comes from the nether, a completely different episode of Minewhat, an episode we'll get to much later on. So those are your ores. These are great for placing if you want to do like adventures and have kids, collect things. Now that's what these would be for. You've got obsidian. Obsidian is a neat block. It's very, you know, it's a block with a lot of depth to it. And you obtain this block from cooling lava that's over rock, actually. If you had a bucket with water and you poured it over lava, you could get this obsidian. All right. Sometimes obsidian will be created. Sometimes I believe cobblestone might be created as well. So that would be obsidian. And as we move down the list here, we've got ice, packed ice, snow, and you know, really you can't really collect these unless, once again, you have the silk touch. So these are great for building and creative. And so let me place these just so you can see. The other cool thing about doing this in creative is you can do a little ice skating. So if I jump on top here, there we go. I'm sliding a little bit, I'm sliding a little bit. So ice has some really neat properties to it. Alright, when I break it, it sounds like glass, which is kind of neat, I think, too. Then we've got endstone, which comes from the end, which is a whole nother episode that I'll be doing with the nether. We've got magma block, which is probably one of my favorite blocks. It pulsates. It's really kind of cool block. You know, when I first started using this block, I actually thought it would light things on fire, just because of the way it looks. And the way that you get this block, this magma block, is from magma cream. And the way you get magma cream is from the destruction of what's called a blaze, which is a really cool looking mob, and then a slime, which is also a really cool looking mob. So some of those monsters drop some really cool things that you can make magma cream out of, and then from magma cream you can make magma block. And then the last 3 blocks are probably the most important. These 3 blocks are unique to Minecraft Education Edition, and these allow or don't allow for certain things to happen. So I want to make sure that I show you these. So I place them in my quick tab here, and as I go through, so this first block is an allow block, and the thing you need to understand about these blocks is they work from the space that they take up upwards. So imagine an invisible force field going straight up from these blocks, which will allow students to do whatever they want in this area. So for example, if I want students to be able to destroy and create in a certain area, I can I can either just leave it on creative and let them roam and do their thing, or I can place these down. The cool thing about this is that because they move from their space up, you can actually manipulate them a little bit. So for example, if I have a deny block, so let's say I'm going to create a little tower here, and these are deny blocks, which do exactly what they sound like. They deny the ability to be able to do certain things. Now, with deny blocks, students can still access levers, they can still access buttons, chests, those kinds of things, but they can't destroy or place blocks. Now, what's interesting is that this space here, students would be allowed to destroy and place blocks. However, anything above this, students are now denied. So, Once again, the space above it is the space in which you can do these certain things. However, that space will change if you place another allow or deny block above it. So if I were to place allow blocks up here, for some reason, only the space, only this little space in here, students would not be allowed to destroy or create. However, the space above. So for example, let's say, I can place these underground. And let's say I want students to maybe add to a project. All right, something that maybe another class has created or something I've created. And what I want to do here is I'm going to place deny blocks just below the surface. So let's say I've created something right here that I do not want anything. I don't want this area messed up right here. All right. So what I can do is I can actually hide those underground. So that way no student can actually do anything there. So they don't know that they can't affect that area, but I know. So anything I've placed there cannot be destroyed, but they can still add to and create all around it. Kind of a neat feature for Minecraft Education Edition. And the last one I want to show you is a border block. Border blocks can be really helpful, and what they do is they do just what the name says. They create a border. Now, I am currently in world builder mode, which means that I can do whatever I want. I can fly through it, I can go underneath it. But if I take that off, alright, and I have the same permissions now, basically as a student, I can't fly through that. In fact, let's see if I can... Nope, see if I can destroy it. I can't destroy it either. And those little red X's there going up give me an indication that there is something there that I cannot break, I cannot go past. Maybe I can go underneath this. I'm gonna try going underneath it. Alright, so let's see if I can do this here. Nope. Oh man. You can't even break the blocks underneath or above. So any blocks that I place beside or underneath or above any of these will be completely unaffected by anyone. So once again, you can hide these underground. In fact, there's been a number of worlds that I've made where I've hidden these underground just to try to keep some areas off limits, so that way students are less likely to get lost, those kinds of things. So, part 1, episode 6, we've taken a look at building blocks, some of the things that you can do, some of the properties of them, and once again, if you're not sure how to create some of these things, if you look in the description below, you'll see a website for creating a lot of the things that you've seen here today. So, best of luck. Once again, I would highly suggest that you subscribe to the channel. That way you can be updated whenever there's a new video coming out. For example, part 2, where we're going to take a look at decorations. Thanks a lot for watching.